Day 3 is in the books. The round of 32 is done. Off to the Sweet 16 as we head further into June soccer madness in the TST tournament. If you've been following along this entire time, then you know this tourney has been action-packed, filled with a lot of drama and excitement, and more importantly, it's come by way of several players from the Major Arena Soccer League. We are going to highlight Day 3, show you the highlights, share the info, and also we give you an interview with Saturday's football and Empire Strykers keeper Brandon Gomez, who earned a clean sheet to help his side move on to the next round. All this and more. It's Friday night, and we welcome you to MASL TST Show on Friday night. Uncorked, uncapped, and in my case, uncracked. Hello again, everybody. My name is Christian Philemon, a.k.a. Philly, and joining me on this fantastic voyage, Amanda, the Panda Philemon, and the third wheel with the even keel, whose line was so awesome from last night, I had to steal, the Doctor, Jonathan Reimer.
Oh, what's going on, everybody? So good to be back. And yes, I am a Friday fine with my glass of wine. So you know that this is going to be a pretty fun episode. So anyways, before you listen to us recap all these amazing games, make sure that you subscribe to MASL Soccer on Facebook and Instagram and MASL Arena on Twitter. What's up, Doctor?
I'm a little perturbed at the start of the show that Philly stole my line, stole my thunder. But look, for it being 2 o'clock in the morning TST time, we are bringing way more energy than anybody else is at 2 o'clock in the morning. So let's get cracking, my friends and folks. If you are not watching the TST tournament, the heck is wrong with you? Tune in on ESPN Plus or check it out online at tstlive.thetournament.com. You can follow along on social media at TST7v7.
All right, now that the introductions are behind us, it's Freaky Friday, let's get into the day's recaps. I will get things cracking as Gracie FC took on the Town FC. And we are talking about Milwaukee and Town FC, that is. They forced Gracie to tap out. You get that, the jiu-jitsu. Tap out Gracie in the knockouts with a 4-2 win. That's how that game would end. Doctor, your team, your pick to win this tournament, La Bombonera. How did they fare out?
La Bombonera faced off against Say Word, and La Bombonera did what they have done throughout the course of this tournament. They steamrolled their way through with precision, authority, and a fierce style of play. I loved it. Roberto Escalante doubled their lead early on. We're going to see that goal here in just a second. And the Chocolate Cub boys would go on to seal a 4-2 victory with a goal from Popper Hernandez as well. Panda, roll the film on the Chocolate Box boys.
On the Chocolate Box boys. I love that. All right, let's start out with Escalante's goal. Let's watch along.
Be fascinating to see how it works here in a win and move on knockout round game for the first time in 2024. As that shot takes a deflection and it's put in. A dream finish to the first half here for La Bombonera. They had gone into neutral after.
How many times have we seen that shot by Roberto Escalante in the indoor games? I mean, honestly, he's going to hit that shot probably 10 out of 10 times almost.
I love that we have one of the voices of extra time on the call and the exposure that La Bombonera is giving the MASL to some of these minds in the outdoor version of America. But classic indoor goal. Create the space, find the spot next to the keeper, pin it in the corner. Beautiful.
All right, so we're going to also show you the game-winning goal by none other than Popper, which said his name a few times already in this tournament. So watch along.
Of target score time, that would have been the end. Any goal La Bombonera scores is a walk-off. It finishes things. Hernandez with the topo, and this time he beats the keeper, and he gets it in. La Bombonera.
That is so cheeky. I just love the fact that $1 million is on the line. You're in overtime. Target goal wins the game, and you still have it in your locker to pull out something that cheeky. Absolutely brilliant. And look, Popper knows something about scoring goals that end games. He's had many, many a golden goal. In fact, I believe this jersey right here may have watched him score a golden goal in last season's playoffs, but beautiful stuff there from La Bombonera.
18,413,600.
It's a big number.
That is what $1,000,000 translates to Mexican pesos. If La Bombonera wins that, Popper and a good portion of that side is bringing that much money back to Ciudad de Chihuahua. It's a lot of pesos,
a lot of
my friend.
tacos.
A lot of money to be spent at Distritro Uno. Some great dinners at Mochomos, by the way.
That's a lot that you could spend at a bodega, which brings me to my next one, Fit Bodega versus 10-15. We were able to see 10-15 come from behind in overtime to knock out Fit Bodega, helping Garrett Bloom, Empire Strykers' own, get one step closer to that $1 million prize and hopefully being able to help out those down in Brazil. Now, Reggae Rovers, dominant coming into the knockout rounds. They were taking on Tobacco Road. These are two of the highest scoring teams in the group stage, and they had a pretty cagey affair that went into overtime, knotted at 2. Reggae Rovers found the target goal 9 minutes into the third half. With this win, Harrisburg Heat will be represented in the round of 16 by Roshan Penton. So good on them, Reggae Rovers, for advancing, and also for 10-15 and Garrett Bloom. So exciting days. Doc, what do you got for this next matchup?
In our next matchup, we had some MASL talent that's going to be advancing on to the round of 16. We've got Dueling for Lincoln taking on Philly's favorite place to empty his paycheck, Saturday's Football, one of the best houses of football and kit stores on the planet. Panda has to take Philly's wallet away from him anytime he goes to Saturday's Football. That is how bad it has gotten at this point. But unfortunately, it was not bad for Saturday's Football today, as they were able to take out Dueling for Lincoln. The feel-good side, Dueling for Lincoln, bows out, and this marks the end of the tournament for St. Louis's Billy Stymack and Christian Briggs. You served the MASL well, gentlemen. But, however, moving on, Tacoma's Alex Caceres, Felipe Souza, Luis Burrieta, UCFC's Steven Fernandez, and Empire's Brandon Gomez. And speaking of Brandon Gomez, or perhaps more appropriately, speaking with Brandon Gomez, is none other than one Christian Philly Philemon.
All right, you ready to watch this interview? Watch along with us as we check him out. Such a nice kid. So glad we were able to have him on this show. I think you guys are going to enjoy this one.
Back here for another interview with another amazing and talented player of the Major Arena Soccer League. This time it's Empire Strykers and Saturday's Football keeper, Brandon Gomez. Fresh off of an impressive performance in the round of 32. Brandon, welcome to the MASL TST Show.
Thank you for having me, Philly. Thank you.
Always good to see you. I mean, first and foremost, congrats on making it to the Sweet 16. The Sweet 16 here in June. Like, how have you been enjoying the TST so far?
Oh man, it's been great. I was here last year. Unfortunately, didn't get to play. I was over as a second string, so I got to experience the tournament. It was great. My feet were itching, hands were itching to hop on the field, but unfortunately, it didn't happen last year. So glad that we get a second shot this year. I think our guys over at Saturday's Football, they put together a very good group. So the fact that we can get out of a tough group in advance and be able to have a good result today has been it's been very, very gratifying for sure.
I mean, itching to play you did today. You came off of a clean sheet. You beat Dueling for Lincoln, who had been playing very well. You had 6 saves in that match earlier. Talk to us about the game plan and the mindset of Saturday's Football, because y'all look like a completely different team going back to the group stages. Completely different.
It was a tough group. Like we said, we knew obviously the way the format of the tournament is, three teams out of almost every group advance. So we knew that, getting that first win was going to be huge. So we kind of showed that against the Desimpedidos team from Brazil, which was our first game. The boys showed up, and it seemed like we had a million on the line for that first game, and I think we played very well, and we started on a very high note, and maybe I don't want to call it complacency, but a little bit of that weight off the shoulders maybe made us relax a little bit. So, game 2 and 3, we played well, obviously against two great teams. We played against Wrexham, who I'm sure you guys have heard of. And then we played FC Roja, which was also a very, very good team. They just lost this morning, unfortunately. But again, looking at our group, it was a very tough group. So we watched film a little bit. We didn't know who we were going to play until very late last night. The games got pushed back. I don't know if you saw some of the other boys over at Tranquilo. They had to play past midnight, so it was very late before we knew who we had to play, and that cut the time that we were able to scout this team. But I think the boys did well. The coaching staff did well. Shout out to my boy AB. He's been doing a great job out here putting the guys together. And today we came out on the front foot for sure. We knew that this team had won three huge games in their group stage. They had, Bayern in their group, and they had Borussia Dortmund as well. So, they beat two very good teams. So the fact that we were able to start and get ahead of them first, it was big.
No, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned Dortmund and Bayern, and a lot of the other teams that are competing in this tournament feature players that have played together quite a bit. Talk to us about some of the challenges you guys faced in Saturday's football, putting a team together so quickly with an eclectic mix of both indoor and outdoor talents.
Right. That's what, the stress, it didn't fall on us as players as much, but we've heard it a few times from, coaches and GMs and the owners on the team of the stress that came along with trying to put this team together. From the beginning, they had that thought of, having that hybrid team, the indoor guys and the 11-a-side guys. Just like anything else, the chemistry, we're rushing to try and get to know each other. Some of us, we learned each other's names 2 days ago. So obviously those are things that, come in between. But I mean, hats off to the guys, the group. Some of these guys, it seems like I've known them for years. And obviously you do well on a team that brings you close together. But, it doesn't seem like we met a couple days ago. The team has really meshed. And I mean, it's guys that, were rivals a couple months ago. We got a couple guys from Tacoma, obviously from Utica. So it's the fact that we're able to come together. It's been very pleasing.
Yeah, and you mentioned Tacoma. Obviously, you're sharing time in between the pipes with Lewis. How's the competition between you two for minutes helped in terms of preparing you both for this tournament?
It's been great. We started off splitting, time, and the coaches had a little bit of an issue in their hand. Fortunately, very fortunately, we were both having great games. So, the first game against Desimpedidos, I started. He came on, had an amazing game, kept them to 0 going into the target score. They got 1, but he came on and he finished the game, and hats off to him. He's not somebody that I was too familiar with starting. Before the tournament, we set our highs, and as professionals and as rivals, but getting to know him, it's been smooth. It's been as smooth as can be when technically you're competing against a guy for spot, but it really doesn't seem like competition. The guys have all been cool to both of us, and fortunately, whoever's in goal has been able to get it done.
And getting it done, you both have no doubt about that. Now, you've been thrusted into this beautiful game on multiple levels over the last year, doing things indoor, NISA with the LA Force, indoors, obviously with the Empire Strykers. Now, 7v7 here with Saturday's football at TST on a smaller terrain. How much of an advantage do you believe that gives you as a player, in particular in your position, versus other players in that same spot who've only played outdoors?
It's huge. You tend to see that, the teams that end up making it a little bit further, they use their goalkeeper a lot. So the fact that, as goalkeepers, we're able to be that extra defender, I mean, that extra attacker, when we have the ball. Now you make these guys move a little bit different, and I think in today's game especially that helped us a lot. You know, we played against a team that's mostly 11-a-side players, full field players, and when we decided to start moving the ball a little bit, they couldn't answer it every time. So that's where we started finding space, and we were successful. So it's definitely an advantage that, you know, we're able to play small sided and train small sided every day.
Now, I know you've got plenty of things to do, preparation, a little bit of celebration to be had as well. I don't want to keep you too long from doing that, but you're 4 games away from potentially being a TST champion. That's pretty darn cool. Do you have, how just the thought of that? Obviously, there's still a road ahead, but I mean, what are your thoughts on that? You're out of the group stages, you're in the 16. Like, how do you feel yourself? Obviously, being on a winning team thus far, but like you yourself just coming off of an amazing clean sheet performance.
Feels great. You know, whenever you're able to obviously get the clean sheet, you know, you've done your job. The fact that, you know, we're able to have a few big saves, it's just that cherry on top. But, you know, it was for the people that watch the game, it's so much more than the saves the keeper makes and, you know, the game that he has. And you know, we defended with all our with everything we had today. So, you know, we're very pleased with that. Now it's really one game at a time. You know, we're excited. Yesterday, it was one goal that got us through into playoffs. Our day could have been done. I mean, our tournament could have been done yesterday, but because of one goal, we advanced. You know, 32 round of 32, we were already excited, and just like that, it turns into round of 16. So we can be looking at things moving real fast, and we want to take it one game at a time.
Absolutely. By a couple of saves, you mean 6. A Herculean effort. That you're downplaying. I wanted to throw that in there. Look, you got
Thank you. Thank
any
you.
final thoughts or words before we let you go?
Um, I mean, thank you so much to everyone who's been supporting so far. If you haven't, there are plenty of great games going on. This is definitely a tournament that, you know, not only people are already watching, but I think it will grow. So thank you guys again for supporting. We're trying real hard to make everyone happy back home, and like I said, one game at a time.
I told you on a previous interview that we had not that long ago that I'd spend a couple of bucks at Saturday's football. Y'all got my vote. That's for
There it
sure.
is. There it is.
Brandon, always a pleasure. Good luck to you in Saturday's football, and we look forward to your next match.
Philly, thank you very much. All the best.
Of course. All the best to you as well.
Well, like I said, I knew that would be a fun interview, and it certainly was. He's such a nice guy, and I am so happy that he gets to move forward into the next round of 16, and hopefully he'll have another stellar game and keep on trucking forward. But you know what? I think it's time to move on to explain that hat you're wearing, Philly.
I love the Major Arena Soccer League. I love indoor soccer so gosh darn much. It's obvious when I talk about it. You hear it in my face and you see it in my actions. But
I
there's
can't
another
hear your
team.
face.
Yeah, fine. There's
See it
another
in your
team that I
face?
do love as a result of me having been a student there. Indiana University, my alma mater. That's 8 stars for 8 national titles. Indiana fields a darn good soccer program, and they bring in a lot of talent. And they're bringing in a lot of talent to the TST tournament as well. Who's your Army took on Villarreal CF today? And let's talk about how that turned out. A late red card sealed the fate of Villarreal as my Hoosiers hammered home 3 second-half goals for a 4-0 victory. Congratulations to the Hoosier Army. Congratulations inadvertently to me. Sadly, this marks the end of the line for the Dallas Outlaws / Texas Stars group of Anthony Powell, Christian Vasquez, Isai Romero, Esteban Vasquez, Oscar Romero, and Steven Chavez. But if you want to catch another Texas Outlaw, go on and tune into Luis Morales as he is a member of the team that I picked, Newtown Pride. More on that later. But Hoosier Army is going to make people think who's your daddy as they progress through the TST tournament. That concludes the Sunlight Games. On to the nightcap.
All right. So we're going to get into
And
a
here's
quick
my
goal.
nightcap, by the way.
Oh,
Cheers.
my goodness. Cheers to that, guys. All right. We've got Quick Goal versus NCFC on what could be considered their kind of home turf. They're a lot more used to that humidity and the weather that they're experiencing out there. And, maybe that played to their advantage because in this absolute nail biter that was tied going into overtime, NCFC found the target goal to send them through. Final score was 2-1. We get to see Craig Childs and Brian Farber of the Strykers, and then Utica City's Dylan Hundelt and William Venzella advance on to the next round. But sadly, this means that we have to say goodbye to Dom Francis, who had a great tournament, Jonathan Mello and Rafael Araujo. They will be going home, unfortunately. I wonder if they're going to stick around and watch all these games. I mean, would you stick around and watch all these games? I mean, or would you want to just go home and get back to what's going on and not be reminded that you are not going to be taking home the prize?
The soccer fan in me would want to stay there and watch the games, but to watch someone else walk away with $1 million that could have been mine, I could see why a lot of people would leave town.
It's a case-by-case basis. If I was there with you, Panda, I would be willing to stay the entire time. If you were at home waiting for me and with the gremlins, I would happily head onto a flight back to Burbank to spend time with my beautiful wife and my 3 kids. And by kids, I mean my cats, Harry, Huff, and Hagrid.
What
Brownie
did you
points.
do?
Well played.
What
Well
did you
played.
do?
What do you mean, what did I do?
I don't know. I feel like you're buttering me up or something,
No. See how you're always feeling fine with a glass of wine. I'm feeling dumb with a can of rum. What can I say? I'm having a darn good time. And speaking of a darn good time, another team that had a really darn good time was the Manhattan Express versus Sire 7. Sire 7 featuring Monterrey's Edgar Gonzalez, a.k.a. Torres, stormed out to a 3-1 lead in the second half. They would find the target goal shortly in overtime, packing bags for Harrisburg's Joey Tavernisi. So that wasn't exactly the time that I was alluding to. But either way, I had a lot of fun saying that. Like I said, always dumb with a can of rum.
Well played, Philly. Let's get into the big
unfiltered and uncut. What can I say?
That is what you say. That is most literally what you say. On to the big all MASL matchup of the night. Nani FC, Sneaky Fox, brimming with MASL All-Stars, MVPs, goalkeepers of the year. I mean, you name it on either side. This was an MASL affair. The score would remain at 0s until the 35th minute when Panda is about to show us what happens when chaos in the box at the other end of the boot of one kingly man himself, none other than Frank Tayu. Panda, roll the clip.
Let's go to the videotape.
Those unmistakable dreadlocks. Tayu fending off Perea.
Oh!
Nani got a piece. It went off roll. It pinballs in.
Did you watch that one live, Doctor?
I did see that one live. That was a heck of a goal. I think I tried to watch the replay 5 or 6 times to see who the ball came off last. I can't figure it out. I think Frank Tayu should get credit for the goal. I mean, you fire a cross in with that kind of pace, and I don't know if Nani had much to do with it aside from being in the way. But beautiful goal.
Right place, right time.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the magnitude of the situation. Frank Tayu finds Nani. That seems like something that should have happened time and time again in England. Frank Tayu doing massive things, connecting with a legend of the game in that of Nani. To quote from my favorite Disney movie of all time, The Lion King, to quote the great Rafiki, the king has returned.
There you have it, folks. Unfortunately, it was Chris Toth picking the ball out of the back of the net there. He would come up with a massive goal line clearance right at the end of regulation to keep the game close going into OT. And in fact, Sneaky Fox would come back. The game would get knotted up. Next goal wins. And you got Chris Toth out there, right? He's the best keeper in the business at coming forward. No reason to use the 6th attacker, right? No reason to use a 6th attacker, right?
He is the 6th attacker.
Unfortunately, Sasha Kleshchin comes in as the 6th attacker. The turnover happens. The goal is goalie on goalie violence from one goalie all the way down the field into the goal. It was a brutal way to see Sneaky Fox eliminated from this year's TST tournament. Unfortunately, that marks the end of this tournament run for Nick Pereira, Chris Toth, Tyler John, Juice Cox, and Guerrero Pino. However, advancing on with Team Nani, we have none other than Frank Tayu, Lucas Roque, Ricardo Carvalho, Chris Frederick, and Drew the Rugglefarian himself.
Rugglefarian. Love the names. All right, let's move on to Conquefa versus Supra United. We knew that this one was going to be an exciting one. All their games have been chock full of action, and this one would not disappoint as well. However, we were going to see McAfee exit this match with a hip flexor from old age. I think he had something to say about it, but he injured himself on quite possibly the worst free kick of the tourney. However, it would have split the uprights, to be fair, if this was a hybrid game of some sort. And we did have football goals back there. He would have put them on the board with 3 points. Unfortunately, that's
his position.
It's just not how it works. So Supra did take the early 2-goal lead, and it looked like they were going to be headed through, but Breck Shea, assisted by Zach Reggett, were able to pull one back at the end of regulation. Jeff Cameron would find the equalizer in overtime before we would see Derek Huff the Stuff Huffman complete the comeback with the target goal. Conquefa advanced 3-2. What an incredible game, a comeback. They went wild. Let's watch this game-winning goal by Huffman and the reaction.
Nothing is this pass right there. Huffman the shot. The goal. Derek Huffman. The goal. Conquefa's comeback to win it in Jordan score time 3-2. And Pat McAfee and company's $1 million dream lives on.
I have no doubt Pat McAfee left that celebration with more than a hip flexor injury. If you saw him jumping around, I don't think he cared. I have a big feeling that he's not going to be feeling a whole lot of anything tonight, because if you heard his interview, all he said was the hangout section that is coming at the hotel after this is exactly what the tournament is all about. I think these boys are going to party hard tonight. I'm a little curious to see how their next game goes, because they might be ramping up the party. I don't know. But like he said, that's what this is all about. It's really all about having fun at the end of the day. I mean, the $1 million is the reward for, being great and having fun. But I think a lot of these players are going to leave with experiences of a lifetime that they're going to talk about forever. And I think this is definitely one of them. Now, unfortunately, we are going to see Texas Outlaws Cody Ellis vacate this tournament as well. But we will see Derek Huffman, Stefan Mijatovic, or Mijatovic, I don't know what we're calling him now, Zach Reggett, Gordy Gerson, and Alvarez are going to all advance on to the next round of 16. So we get to see much more of this wild child crew going through.
Apparently, you can't call Steph Mijatovic or Mijatovic anymore. He now goes by the name
Meat.
No, I'll tell you this, and Gordy mentioned it during the interview I had with him last night as he was talking to Breck Shea. These guys are having so much fun and obviously making a lot of contacts. I really have a strong belief in the fact that the Major Arena Soccer League is going to get a lot of nice, interesting players next season, because if they're having such a good time playing with some of these talented players, clearly Jeff Cameron and Breck Shea are going to think, well, what's this indoor game about? And Meat and Huff the Stuff and Reggett and Kid Dynamite himself, Gordy, and Mario Alverson. What do these guys do? Who knows? Maybe we will see them at the very least. I know people want to see more MASL recognition. We're given that. That's why we're creating the show. But our players are out there succeeding, operating as ambassadors. Who knows? Maybe we will see a tremendous amount of growth and eye sockets on our league. I know that Mike Grella on the Pat McAfee show, when he was interviewed, stated that with the MASL games that were on the CBS Sports Golazo Network, that the ratings were outstanding. He literally said that. You can find the tweet. If that's the case, our league only has one direction to go: up.
While we're on the subject of Steph Mijatovic, Bro,
Meat.
never change. Just one of God's own prototypes. I love you, man. You are the best.
Yeah,
All right, Philly,
yeah.
you got to move this along. We were supposed to get shorter with these
All right. Let's move
episodes, and then
along. My pick for the tournament. You're right, Panda. That's why we're married. You keep me on track. I love you. And those who think she's my sister, nah, man. I can do pretty well. I'm not an ugly guy. I might be a face for radio, but hey. Newtown Pride takes on #United. A snooze fest of the first half with Newtown sitting on the ball. Newtown could have been called Snooze Town over the course of the first 20 minutes. That would get things going, though, in the second half with an early pair of goals, though, by Gabriel Costa and an unlucky own goal for #. And then Charlie Gonzalez, is the man in overtime again for Newtown as his methodical strike puts Newtown through. #United and Kansas City Comets keeper Philip Ejimadu, formerly of LAFC, by the way, had a great game in goal, but couldn't keep the champs down. Panda, we've got some clips from Newtown. Let's go to the videotape.
We'll have one clip because we got to move this along. So we're going to only show the one clip, and we're going to show Gabriel Costa because he's been such a force in this tournament. And it turns out Brazilians are just really fast.
Something is this pass right there. Huffman the shot.
That was not that. Sorry.
That hashtag is created. Oh my goodness. Ejimadu lost it, and Costa puts Newtown Pride in front. The defending champs.
Are you Brazilian? Because that clip was pretty fast initially.
My fat fingers wanted to hit on Huff the stuff and not Gabriel Costa, but it's okay. I'm getting through this, guys. I mean, it is, what time is it in TST land?
It is
2:37.
Yeah,
almost
it's midday. You're right.
it's
You're
midday.
lucky I can see the screen at this point. Okay. And you know what? Let's move on. Let's talk about La Mexicana Express and Pasha Luxury FC. Pasha advances 4-1 over La Mexicana Express. Brian Wilkin, John SK, and Matt Brame all move on to the next round. And before we move on to our stat leaders, I wish we would have made a something we could put all the names of the players on, and as they advance, or we can cross them out. I just want to see visually who all's left, and how there's still such a force in this, because it's still amazing to me how many players are left in this that are dominating from the MASL world. Now, talking about dominating, let's talk about the stat leaders after day 3. Doc, you want to run us through some of these numbers?
A lot of these names are going to sound familiar from the last 2 shows. There's been a little bit of movement on the leaderboard. For goals, we still have Luis Morales in the lead with 3 goals representing your MASL players. He trails Sebastian Giovinco by 3 goals, your all-tournament leader at 6. For assists, we now have a tie between Morales and Zach Reggett, who each have 3 apiece. They are chasing a leader of 5. In saves, Philip Ejimadu with his insane performance today. Unfortunately, the one clip we showed, probably the one clip he wouldn't have wanted us to show. Not a great representation of his game as a whole. He climbed into the MASL saves leaderboard with 25. He trails the leader by just 1 save. Sadly, Edgy is not going to get to add to that tally. Chris Toth and William Van Zella finished with 20 as well on the day, so they are just behind as well. In save percentage, we have Christian Hernandez, 95.5% save percentage. He has allowed 1 goal in 232 minutes and 27 seconds of TST play. That, however, ranks him 3rd overall behind 2 keepers that have 100% ratings. However, they have only played 48 and 53 minutes respectively. And that rounds out our leaders.
All right, so to move things along, I'm going to convert from Hoosier Philly to Hop Along Philly. So let's preview the round of 16, starting off with my Hoosiers as they take on Freedom United SC at 9:30 a.m. I can feel free to root for IU without any kind of conflict. Go Hoosiers!
It's really funny that you took off the Hoosier hat and put on the cowboy hat, but you're saying you're rooting for the Hoosier Army against somebody named Freedom United. Make it make sense, please.
You're from Indiana. You're telling me people in your neck of the woods don't root or don't wear cowboy hats? Here, I'm all about Indiana. Let's move along. I'm trying to speed things up.
Brandon Gomez will be back in goal for Saturday's football in the second game of the day tomorrow, kicking off at 9:45 in the morning. They will be taking on the Rally Rebels local boys to the North Carolina area.
Newtown versus Como Cagliari at 10 a.m. The champs have cruised this far with the salty Sardinians of Como Cagliari. Will they be the first team to upset Newtown? I don't think so.
All right. Well, then at 11 a.m., we're going to see 10:15 take on Concaifa SC. This is going to be a great matchup. Sadly, this means one of our close and dear friends will be heading home from whoever does not advance, unfortunately. But 10:15, they have a tall task ahead to try and take down Concaifa. That looks to be improving as a squad game by game. They keep getting better and better. They're hard to go against right now with how well their indoor tactics have really fared them, especially in target time. So circle this game on your calendar.
11:15 in the morning, Pasha Luxury have the luxury of taking on La Bombonera. Wilkin may have to endure a barrage of bombazos from Bombonera if Pasha FC are to find their way through. The Mexican alliance of Flash and Savage Stars, Bombonera, they are flying right now. And you know who Doc is rooting for in this game. Viva Mexico!
Aren't you from NorCal? Isn't the town representative of NorCal? Don't you have like Oakland ties and roots with your father being a professor at Berkeley?
I was born in Oakland. This is
there you go. So house divided. Anyway, Nani FC versus the Town FC, 11:30 a.m. That'll be a fun one. The Town FC is really impressed in the group stages with wins over Bayern and Dortmund, which is no easy task. I don't care what kind of squad gets thrown out there. No easy task. They have a very different opponent, though, before them in Nani FC. Nani have been playing captivating soccer with a flair for the dramatics. They seem to have found a great balance of talent and bravado. Nani FC versus the Town FC. Jonathan Reimer's new selection after La Bombonera.
All right. And then at 12:30 p.m., we're going to see the Reggae Rovers take on the Wrexham Red Dragons. Rashawn from Reggae is going to power up against Ryan Reynolds' Red Dragons of Wrexham. Thanks for putting that in there. You know I was going to mess it up. I knew you were going to do that. I sat here and looked at it and practiced it and like in my head went over and I'm like, I got this. No big deal.
And a burgundy in the podcast.
You know, just
I read
to be
exactly
fair,
what it said, but it was a tongue twister.
I did give myself barrage of bombazos from Bombonera, right? So I did make it fair. I gave myself a hard one too. But
Whatever.
yeah, no, that was intentionally to mess you up. Sorry, folks.
It worked. I hope you feel good about that.
I do.
All right. Last game of the day, Doc.
Oh, it's going to be Sire 7 taking on North Carolina FC at 12:45 p.m. The English side, Sire 7, with Toro from Mexico. The rest of the team made up of mostly championship and Prem players. They play a really fluid outdoor style. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare off against the likes of Craig Childs, Brian Farber, and the boys from North Carolina FC in your final match of the round of 16 before we get into the Elite Outdoor 8.
Love it. Folks. Love it. It's going to be a great day of soccer. I can't wait to tune into it. Were you going to try to wrap us up, Philly?
Yeah, absolutely. We're slightly under 40 minutes. I feel like, as the rounds progress, we kept alluding to the fact that the pods would get shorter. They keep getting longer. So we gotta nip this in the bud. To quote the great Bon Jovi, oh, we're halfway there with the MASL TST show. So we got to say thank you so much for being a part of this. We got a couple more rounds to go. Obviously, we got another recap tomorrow, another recap the day after that, and another recap to follow that. The game.
Hey, you wanted to make this shorter. Why are you still?
Yes, I'm hurrying it up. Thank you very much.
You didn't let me say what I was supposed to say at the end of all this.
Oh my God. All right, here we go. Foot in my mouth, back on the couch. Panda.
So glad we have a comfortable couch for you. So you've earned your spot tonight. Real quick, what I wanted to do, I know it's not MASL, but I really do think it does need to be mentioned, and that's just a real 30-second quick synopsis of the women's bracket, because this is the first time it's ever happened. So real quick, in Group A, we've got Streetball FC Canada, a la the Lauren Sesselmans. They are 2-0. They've been dominant. They took out the U.S. women today. In that same bracket, we've got the U.S. women and Angel City Sevens, both sitting at 1-1, and Wrexham Red Dragons have not won quite yet. And then in Group B, they are just neck and neck. Everybody has won one and lost one. The goal diffs are 1 and -1. So that is still anybody's bracket. Tomorrow, they will all play their third game. The top 2 in each group will advance and play each other on Sunday. Sunday's the 9th, right? I don't know what day it is. Sunday the 9th at a time to be determined. So guys, keep an eye on that. You're watching history here, TST history. All right. Now you can wrap us up. Hop along, Philly.
I mean, at a 2:45 in the morning, it is hard to tell what day it is. But folks, we will see you tomorrow or later today, depending on where you are. But much love from us here, and we'll see you with more MASL action at the TST. Mañana. Adios.
Hasta.
Bye.
Bye-bye.